Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our podcast.
Today we're covering another CW superhero series set in the Arrowverse,
Batwoman. Kane, armed with a passion for social justice and a flair for speaking her mind, soars into the streets of Gotham as Batwoman, an out lesbian and highly trained street fighter primed to snuff out the failing city's criminal resurgence. But don't call her a hero yet. In a city desperate for a savior, Kate must overcome her own demons before embracing the call to be Gotham's symbol of hope.
You do see how that worked out. But before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get updates on future podcasts and roll the pause videos.
Yes, and we have to say before we start, unfortunately, at the time of this recording, Ruby Rose has walked away from the role of Batwoman.
Yes.
Which didn't make us happy at all because we thought she did a great job. It was the material that she had to work with that slowly declined. But from what we understand, it was the hours, and I guess they couldn't come into agreement. So unfortunately, this will be the one and only Batwoman podcast, because if Ruby Rose isn't Batwoman, then we will unfortunately not be watching the show.
Right. They said they're working on recast. As of recording, they're working on getting someone else from the community to play Batwoman.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people thought that she was the bad actress because of the lines and stuff. Like, no, it was the material. It was the material that was pretty bad. And then she emulated the bad material that was on the paper. That was really the issue. It wasn't her. It was that. It was so bad that it affected the acting.
And two things on that. One, she originally was on Netflix's series. It was a serial. Orange is the New Black. So she had to be a hell of an actress to be on that show. And she actually left, and she was really highly popular at the time that she exited there. And number two, if you remember the beginning of the series, her acting was very different. It was really much higher and better. And for some reason, they decided to change the writing and change how the character responded to stimuli and to events, and she went from being this really strong badass character, and I love the black bat suit, to being something totally different, which we didn't understand why the writers chose to do that to this character that started out fantastic, and Ruby Rose was great at
Right.
it. So
and we actually have pointed out, I think in another podcast, that Batwoman was kind of bagged on from the time they had a trailer out. We gave it a fair chance. And at first, the first few episodes they had were actually good. There were some little things here and there kind of like in the writing, but it was still decent enough to watch. But then as it got closer to the mid-season finale, you could see a dramatic shift in the writing.
Right.
Batwoman is supposedly about Batman going missing. He's been missing for 3 or 5 years. No one knows where he is. She has to take on Mikal, defend the city for him. She makes a name for herself with Luke Fox, aka Batwing, but he's not going to be Batwing, obviously. But then as the show goes on, it stops being about the heroic part and protecting Gotham. It goes into a whole nother show, because many people have pointed out that the quality is just not great at all.
yes, just degrading as further episodes got to the end. They just went down, and down and down.
Anything interesting they had at the beginning was totally taken out. It's so bad that there are very noticeable plot holes that the writers choose to ignore, and fans or people watching point out, you forgot this. Like they had a particular arc where the dad went to jail, and then he gets out 2 episodes later, and then people point out they never explained how he got out.
And the first thing Rascal said is, how did he get out of jail? Like, yeah, and like you said, he was just out in there.
Right.
I want to call attention to 2 things. One is Rachel Skarsten, who plays Alice. Now, Alice, the way she was portrayed from the beginning of the series up into the last episodes, was her performance was flawless and fantastic. For someone who was a crazy, psychotic criminal, I guess it's like the Joker craze right now. You liked her performance. It was real. It was believable. And she could switch from being a character who was innocent to one who was maniacal, to one who was psychotic, to one that was obsessed with getting her sister's attention, even though she pretended she didn't want it. Then it got to the last 2 episodes, and suddenly Alice changed, and she wasn't the same character. And then in the final episode, which it doesn't matter because Ruby Rose isn't there, most likely 90% we're not going to watch it. So sorry for the spoilers. She suddenly kills Mouse. It's like, what in the heck is going on? She kills him and tells him she's sorry, but it was necessary, and she cries over him. But it's not in Alice. It's not in the Alice's character to have done that to Mouse.
Right, after what we've seen with them together and their backstory, you would think it was the one other person, it was the only person she could trust.
So again, it's the writing, it's not the actors. So let's give a shout out to Ruby Rose as Kate Kane, of course. Cameron Johnson is Luke Fox, who we hope in the second season, whether we watch it or not, he gets to break out and do some more in the role. Rachel Scarston, as we mentioned, is Alice.
Nicole King as Mary, who's one of the third sister. Yeah.
Right.
And Doug Ray Scott, who's the dad, Jacob Kane.
He's actually an older actor who's known for some real great dramatic roles prior to this.
And Kevin Conroy actually guest starred here during the Crisis crossover. One episode for Batwoman was part of the crossover event.
Right. And we also have Megan Tandy as Sophie Moore, who's being put in from the middle to the end of the role. She plays Alfred's daughter.
Yeah. And yeah, they had quite a few stars in here that had potential.
Is Mouse.
Oh, yeah.
Don't forget him because he's been in here the whole time.
And it had potential, but the thing was, and they also kept trying to downplay or bring Batman down. You didn't see Batman, and you don't know who's playing Batman until the final episode.
And that looks like when we saw the final episode that it was going to be interesting the next season, but interesting with Ruby Rose and the rest of the regular cast.
Right. And we were a little taken aback because the writers keep putting these comments. They are aware of the site backlash Batwoman has gotten, whether they like the show or not, and they keep doing two things that viewers are really not happy about, besides having major plot holes and not caring about their own story and arcs. Will be one, people who are fans of Batman, they constantly put them down as they don't want to accept Batwoman because it's not Batman. And that is not the problem. We don't have a problem with Batwoman because when we watched the animated movie Bad Blood, both she and Batman were portrayed fantastically, and the focus was on them being in the Bat family and them as characters. That was our favorite versions of both characters. But in here, it's clear that Batwoman's entire character and now the arc is based on only her relationship.
And that's, again, from almost the middle of the season to the end. It wasn't like that in the beginning. And we really saw the promise for the series. It looks like, I think Rotten Tomatoes has given it a 3.5 out of 10. We would rate it at a 5 out of 10.
Right,
it
fair.
It really was not a 3.5. It was a 5, and we have to give it a higher rating because, again, of the beginning of the series almost to the middle of the season, she did a great job. The writing was great. It was interesting. The plot line made sense. You were getting these turn of events you didn't expect, and they weren't ruining the surprises coming up each episode, like some shows, oh, be surprised, and then they show you, it's like, but you're not going to be surprised because you told us.
You showed us.
But you really were surprised at a lot of the turn events. So we're going to say, again, from the beginning of the series to the middle, we give it a 5 for that reason. We love to have given it a higher score, but again, the writing just flatlined and then just even went lower than death from the middle of the season to the end.
Because there was, like we said, the sudden shift. It stopped being about the crime fighting. Heck, there were even times where Kate let criminals go. And it wasn't the fun like Batman where you knew they were kind of doing this because they were really hurting inside. He still took them down, but he also helped them after that because he always offered them a chance to reform and get help. Here, it seems like Kate only lets off certain types of criminals, and then the focus is just completely out of whack. It's like, how are you, the superhero, letting certain people off the hook?
Now, two things that stood out that really made her unsuperhero-like, and one was when they decided to let her kill the character who played Mouse's dad, who had also kept Alice. Alice, as you might as well say, she was kept prisoner. Yeah, that's no other way to put it. She was kept prisoner with him, and this guy's a real psycho, but he's played by the same actor who played Bartholomew in Supernatural, one of the angels, Sebastian Roche, and he was fantastic in the role. Even though he was a villain, he was really fantastic in it. But what didn't make sense is that at first she caught herself and she didn't do it. Then they let her kill him, and then after she killed him, what does she do? She goes with her sister Alice, and then they take a bottle of booze and they drink from the bottle real tough like, and then she talks about how she felt remorse, and then with less than 5 minutes later she didn't act like she was remorseful.
Right.
And that really destroyed the character.
Right. And then Alfred's daughter pointed out and said, "Oh, you did it. Just move on." I'm like, why are you people okay with her killing somebody? That was like the real disturbing part. No one cared that she did it. It was like, oh, it's no big deal. I'm like, this is a big no-no in the Batman universe until they said Batman did it.
Now, we also understand that this series takes place in Gotham. And we remember the original series, Gotham on Fox, where it was just a cesspool. We understand that. And I guess now maybe some of that cesspooliness is coming through in this series because it's set in the same universe as that Gotham series. But that being said, you know, we know she's not Batman. We're not trying to make her Batman, but part of what makes Batman stand out as a superhero from all the other superheroes in either DC, Marvel, Dark Horse, or any universe is that he doesn't kill. And since she said Bruce was her example, she wanted to make him proud. And that's another thing that stopped. She would write in her journal every night about, you know, I'm really trying. I know I failed this time, but I'm going to get better. And I want you to be proud of me. And it was wonderful how she would journal. And like people who keep journals, she'd tell you what she did right. She'd tell you what she did wrong and how she was going to improve, which is the key to success in any area of life, and definitely one of the things that are done if you practice the law of attraction. You journal and you improve. But then suddenly she stopped journaling. That just left the show entirely, and she didn't care about living up to her cousin's example that he made of being this superhero that people could be proud of and knew they could depend on. And even though they didn't know his real identity, his civic identity, they knew that he was someone that could be counted on to be fair. And she lost that. It's like the compass it got magnetized and started spinning all over the place and was no longer pointing north, and she just started going in every direction. And again, it wasn't Ruby Rose's fault. It's the writer's fault.
Because clearly they did not want to focus on superhero. They were more focused on who Kate was going to end up with, which is a very big problem because a lot of people were getting irritated because almost every episode has her focus on her ex-girlfriend Sophie, her other ex, Alfred's daughter.
I accidentally called Sophie Alfred's daughter.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh,
Sophie was the ex-girlfriend she was in the police academy with.
Right.
Please forgive me, guys, and please forgive me, Meg and Tandy, for mislabeling your character. I am so sorry.
Sophie, and then Alfred's daughter, and then a bartender, and then the Nocturna vampires villain they had for an episode. They were more focused on who. I know Bruce had that thing where he was really attractive and all of them wanted him, and I guess they want to emulate the same thing with her. But it was so much of a focus on that. It took over the episode. It didn't even matter about the crime fighting, stopping the criminals. More like what girl is she gonna end up with? And that was beginning to be really irritating for a lot of people. It's like, where's the story?
Right.
Focus on relationship later. This is why Batman didn't have anybody for a while.
And to make the correction, it was the character Julia Pennyworth, and she was played by Christina Wolf.
Right.
Now, that would be okay as far as the relationships if it was just a small part of the whole thing. Because you remember in the comics, Nightwing is just a philanderer. That's what he is. And even in some instances, they had Batman, with different people, but it never became the focal point of the story.
Right.
It was just a very smart sliver part of it that kind of gave you an indication of what they were like out of the superhero suit, their character. And that's all this should have been, as a footnote. The women that she was with, maybe except for Sophie, because Sophie played a major part in her life and the decisions she made, and vice versa for Sophie with Kate. But the others should have been footnotes, except for maybe the one who is Magpie's sister.
Yeah, she was a bartender. The name is not coming to me right now, but yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, so maybe that one could have had a little more time cover, but the rest of them and all the other stuff, no, there should have been footnotes on her journey to becoming Batwoman, the superhero that the city needs and could count on. And that's how the story started out in the beginning, that this is what she was going to be, a superhero who would leave her mark on the superhero world. We were excited. We couldn't wait. And again, Ruby Rose was known for that role. I really like her. I've always liked her. And they took that character and just destroyed it. So, you know, what they're going to do next season, who knows? It will be interesting to see how the Batman role plays out, although we were shocked to see someone else, because as you mentioned, Kevin Conroy guest starred in Crisis on Two Earths, right?
Infinite Earths, yeah.
Yeah, Crisis on Infinite Earths. And we just knew he was going to be the Batman of the show, but I guess we didn't understand it's a different time period.
Right. So, if you've seen Batwoman, definitely let us know what you thought of the show. If there's something you like about it or you just couldn't stand it, be very honest and definitely let us know in the comments what you thought if you've seen some episodes or even the entire season.
Right, we like hearing what you have to say, whether we agree or not. Even when we don't agree, I have to say that every single time we've read a comment we don't agree with entirely, we learn something new we didn't know, and we can see a different viewpoint and a different aspect than how we have taken it.
Right.
And lastly, let us know what you think of Ruby Rose's exit. Do you really believe she left because of time constraints, or do you believe it was something else? Let us know what you think in the comments below as well.
And be sure to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get updates on future videos and World of Paws podcast.
But possibly not Batwoman Season 2.
No. So, thank you so much for watching. I'm Rascal Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.
And reporters sitting flashing lights, trying to walk around, man, who the hell are you? What you wanna do? Well, man, it's on you. In my dreams, she was my queen. A castle in the mountaintops, rivers and streams. Plucking sunlight from the sky in my pocket, give it to you.